Welcome to this broadcast of Franklin Pierce News. My name is Shannon Slater.
And I'm Alisha St. Ceil. Thank you for joining us.
As the 2018-2019 school year ends, end-of-the-year awards are presented all over campus. The Marlin Fitzwater Center for Communication hosted the Fitzwater Honors on Friday. The awards are to recognize academic excellence and honor a professional in the communications field. This year's honoree, Richard T. Griffiths, will be visiting and working with many of Fitzwater's classes for 4 days, ending with the ceremony on Friday. During the many ceremonies throughout the day, the honoree gets a chance to visit the campus and see the Fitzwater Center at work, as well as meet some of the students in the Pierce Media Group. Besides the honoree, students will also be receiving Fitzwater medallions or leadership cords from the Pierce Media Group. Senior Luke Tracy won the medallion for contributions to the public discourse by a graduating senior. And Senior Sarah Daly won the Fitzwater Medallion for academic excellence. Pierce Media Group seniors Matthew Dresselhouse and Andrew Honing also won the leadership cord for their time with their respective PMG groups. Congratulations to all the winners for their progress throughout their years at Franklin Pierce. Now let's take a look at how extracurricular events keep college students engaged in school.
Coffee House is one of the more popular events on campus that gets students involved and out of their dorms. Friday night, February 8th, at Franklin Pierce University, students were able to enjoy a coffee house with performer Angie Kielhauer. Students were able to relax and enjoy coffee, hot chocolate, and pastries. Angie is a former contestant of the popular show The Voice. This event was put on by Pierce Activities Council, also known as PAC.
Sitting on the back of my car, feeling small. So, from my experience when I was in college, I went to every event there was, and that's how I made all of my closest friends. And so I hope that the Franklin Pierce students are getting the same kind of experience because we put them on for you all, and we try to do things that you want to see or that you want to do. And so I hope that it's at least bringing some people joy.
University of Michigan researchers found that students who are involved in any extracurricular activities have a higher grade point average than those who don't participate. These involved students are more likely to stay in school.
PAC will throw almost one event per weekend, and then some weekends if we don't have an event, the next week we may have two on Friday and Saturday. But at least one Friday and Saturday a week you should see a PAC event. I think that some of these events may be a tipping point for them to stay.
The events definitely build a sense of community just because so many different people come to all these different events and you meet people that you normally wouldn't hang out with.
This is the third coffee house that has been put on by PAC. They continue to try out new events to see what draws the biggest crowds, and they have learned coffee house is always appealing to a good portion of the student body. Events are picked by students, not staff, so they are age appropriate and more likely to gain interest from incoming students.
I think a majority of students do attend these events just because they're things that you normally wouldn't get to do on a weekend.
Feeling small and staring at the stars.
Remembering Nipsey Hussle, an activist, a community organizer, and a Grammy-nominated rapper, Hussle was dedicated to changing his community by creating a STEM program too big to fail. The program is in the heart of Crenshaw, LA, to teach children of minorities science, technology, engineering, and math. He planned on attending an anti-gang violence meeting with LA Police Chief and Rock Nation, but was murdered the night before outside his clothing store, Marathon. LAPD Chief Michael Monroe says, "I saw the name Nipsey Hussle, and I looked at that again, and I looked at that again, and it was like I could not believe it. This is a voice I was trying to help." He was devoted to teaching minority children about bettering themselves by staying out of the streets and into the books. "The lack of opportunity can make gang culture a more viable option," said Hussle. He was dedicated to creating programs to show the youth that education and knowledge is very important. Hussle told radio host Big Boy that he wanted his program to be the bridge between Silicon Valley and the inner city. He is aware of the lack of diversity in science technology fields. He wants to make a change not only for himself, but his community. Hussle said, "Growing up as a kid, I was not looking for somebody to give me anything, but somebody that cared. Many schools in urban communities are underfunded and overlooked.
Are you a fan of improv and in the mood for a hilarious night? Once again, PAC will be hosting yet another comedy night for the FPU community. It won't be a traditional comedy event like usual, but it will be improv, and it is basically a form of live theater in which the plot, characters, and dialogue of a scene or story are made up in the moment. The name of it is called Mission Improbable, and it will feature acts that should be funny and entertaining. The event will happen on campus Friday night at 7 p.m. in Spag Hall. Members of FPU will be able to join in the fun free of charge. Alisha Berry, the advisor for PAC events, said that this event has happened a couple of times on campus because of the popular demand. Up next, how emotional support animals are helping students on the Franklin Pierce campus.
Ever wonder why students walk around with pets on campus? Here we have Allison, who was one of the very first students to ever register a dog here at Franklin Pierce University. She shares with us the journey and the process of bringing her natural home dog, Moose.
The process for getting Moose to live with me, initially at first I was a little confused about where to go and how to go about getting Moose to live with me on campus. But once I found the website my therapist had given me, it was much easier to fill out the forms and get everything in line.
Tracy Cohen, the coordinator of Student Accessibility Service, gives us a more vivid detail of the process.
It's my job to review documentation for accommodations, any accommodations that students have. I need documentation that this person, whoever's asking for accommodations, or an emotional support animal, has proof that they have some kind of a condition. The second part is that the physician or therapist has to prove that the ESA has helped this person in some way and that they have some connection, that it is a necessary accommodation in order for this person to enjoy university residential living.
Can I have a high five? High five? Yes. Can I have a right one? Good boy. I have high anxiety when it comes to school. I push myself to do as best as I possibly can, and because of that I get anxieties over how well I'm doing in my classes and how well I'm performing in my classes and making sure that I'm doing as best as I can.
Allison is not the only student who faces these problems. Catherine Doherty, one of the head leaders for Res Lives, talks about the significant increase of students bringing pets to campus.
So we have a number of registered animals on campus with us. We have about 20 this academic year, and a student can apply at any time to have an emotional support animal. So I could get another registration tomorrow, but students are also in the process of requesting to have their animals present with them next academic year.
According to psychologists at Purdue University, dogs tend to lower blood pressure, slow down heart rates, allow breathing to become more regular, and relax muscle tensions.
Moose here. He instantly puts a smile on my face the way he greets me at the door. When I'm studying for super hard classes, he is really good about sitting right next to me, making sure that my anxiety and stress levels throughout studying stay about the same, so that way I'm not going into a panic or anxiety attack over making sure that I'm doing the best that I can. Talk to me. That's better. Good boy.
Franklin Pierce University seniors are waiting for their final weeks before graduation. With graduation coming up on May 18th, seniors are preparing to receive their cap and gowns and walk across the stage. With the Senior Week event, soon-to-be graduates get to go on the trip to Mohegan Sun and have a senior breakfast the day before graduation. Students also are getting awards for their academic achievements in their majors at the Seniors Honors Convention. I started off college not sure where it would take me. Now I'm receiving an award for my achievement, and I couldn't be any happier, said senior Tim Marsh. The Honors Convention is on May 10th at the Fieldhouse at 3. It is open for the public to attend. The Seacoast Mental Health Center launched its suicide prevention initiative in New Hampshire. Here's the story.
Suicide rates have been rising in nearly every state, according to the latest vital signs report by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The Granite State has not been immune to this epidemic. Over a 17-year study by the CDC from 1999 to 2016, suicide rates in New Hampshire jumped to 48.3%. It's the second leading cause of death for ages 15 to 34 in the state, according to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Jody Lubarsky, the Child, Adolescent, and Family Director at the Seacoast Mental Health Center, believes the state is moving in the right direction.
It's been nice in the last few years to see people who are in public positions come forward, talk about their own struggles with mental illness. So I think that education, that willingness to speak about their own struggle really helps with reducing the stigma. I think what we do as an agency and what the other agencies do to educate communities, but also how do we make access to care easier?
In November, the state's Department of Health and Human Services released its 10-year mental health plan, calling for an infusion of $24 million for enhanced mental health programs in schools, more integration with primary care, and behavioral health services. Advocacy and education both are crucial in curbing the mental health stigma. Janet Scott is an individual who went through an extremely traumatic situation in the 1970s. While she was out for a run, she was viciously assaulted.
Somebody threw a piece of fabric, a tie, I thought it was at the time, around my neck and began strangling me and threw me to the ground. And so he's on top of me, strangling me like that. And I was convinced that I was going to die there.
Approximately 40 years after her assault, she finally found peace in her recovery process at the Seacoast Mental Health Center. The difference this time? Compassion.
Great compassion. I believe I've been working with Jennifer since I came here. I feel like I have a sister in her. I don't think of her as my therapist. I think of her as my most cherished friend. I can tell her absolutely anything, and I do.
The mystery movie, put on by the Indie Lens pop-up, was finally revealed. The Fitzwater Center for Communications had everyone on their toes leading up to the big reveal of what documentary they were showing next. The Independent Lens screenings, also known as Indie Lens, are put on through both semesters in Spagnolo Hall. Partnering with the New Hampshire PBS, the Fitzwater Center is able to show these films early while also having discussions and/or other fun activities. They talked about and well-advertised mystery movie was shown to be the documentary Won't You Be My Neighbor on March 26th. The screening had interactive Mr. Rogers-themed photo booths, cookies, and refreshments, and a heart-to-heart discussion about how you can be a good neighbor. Franklin Pierce's very own professor of geology and environmental science, Dr. Fred Rogers, hosted alongside Associate Director of Student Involvement, Derek Scalia. There were 2 showtimes, both ending in a great discussion and leaving guests inspired. This is a great family-friendly documentary. Be sure to check out your local PBS channels scheduled to watch it. Now let's hear from Austin Callaway on sports.
Thank you, Shannon. The NHL regular season has ended, and a total of 16 teams will soon start the long battle for the chance to hold the Stanley Cup. In the West, starting with the Central Division, the Nashville Predators playing the Dallas Stars, and the Winnipeg Jets playing the St. Louis Blues. In the Pacific Division, the Calgary Flames will play the Colorado Avalanche, and the San Jose Sharks will play the newest team in the NHL, the Vegas Golden Knights. In the East, for the Metropolitan Division, the Washington Capitals play against the Carolina Hurricanes, and the New York Islanders play the Pittsburgh Penguins. In the Atlantic Division, the Tampa Bay Lightning will play the Columbus Blue Jackets. Finally, the Boston Bruins will have a rematch with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Broadcaster for the Ravens Sports Network, Trent Dunn, says this year, I see Tampa Bay as the runaway favorites. However, Boston has a really good team as well, and they can make a run if they get it past the Lightning. Community assistant Ronnie Morrissey says, I think the Bruins versus Maple Leafs is going to be an extremely fun series to watch. I remember back in 2013 when they went all 7 games and how crazy it was with the Game 7 comeback win for the Bruins. The Lightning has the best record in the NHL right now with a total of 61 wins and only 16 losses, and they projected to take the Stanley Cup this year, or at least make it to the finals. The 2019 Cup playoffs will begin on Wednesday, April 10th, 2019, televised on the following channels: USA, NBC Sports, and NHL. Ever wonder who's going to the top 10 pick in the 2018-2019 NBA draft? Which prospects have earned their way for this life-changing moment? then the NBA Draft is something for you to tune into and watch on Thursday, June 20th, 2019. The NBA Draft will be hosted by NBA Commissioner Adam Silver. The awards take place on NBA TV, ESPN's Prime Network, and ESPN.com on a live stream at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Franklin Pierce Senior Gerard Gray says, "This event is a dream come true for the hardworking young men out there. They're the future of the NBA." Also, Franklin Pierce Senior Jeremy Arthur says, "This event is very motivational for the young kids who want to make it into the NBA one day and the future. Join them by supporting and welcoming the future stars of the NBA get inducted into the league on Thursday, June 20th, 2019. You will see them gain recognition for all the hard work they have put in to the game of basketball and watch many dreams come true." For the second straight year, the Boston Bruins eliminated the Toronto Maple Leafs in 7 games. The two teams battled it out in last year's Eastern Conference quarterfinal round, with Boston taking down Toronto in a wild Game 7, which ended with a score of 7-4. This year, the results weren't much better for the Leafs, as the Bruins defeated them 5-1 to clinch the series in front of a ravenous crowd at the TD Garden. The Bruins got first-period goals from Joakim Nordstrom and Marcus Johansson to get out to a 2-0 lead early in the first period. The Leafs' John Tavares cut the deficit to 1 in the second period, but Bruins goaltender Tuukka Rask was sharp enough through 2 periods, keeping it 2-1 game going into the third. Boston's Sean Corrali snapped a wrist shot past Leafs goaltender Frederik Andersen to give the Bruins a 3-1 lead. Boston would add 2 empty net goals late in the third period and wrote to a 5-1 win. Tuukka Rask turned aside 32 shots for the win in Game 7. Frederik Andersen stopped 27 of the 30 shots in the loss for the Leafs. Toronto now has 3 straight losses coming in Game 7 against the Bruins, dating back to 2013. The Bruins will now prepare for the Columbus Blue Jackets, who are coming off a sweep of the league's best team in the Tampa Bay Lightning. Game 1 from the TD Garden in Boston is set for Thursday, April 25th at 7 o'clock. Now back to you, Shannon and Alisha.
Thank you, Austin. I'm Shannon Slater.
And I'm Alisha St. Ceil.
Thank you for watching Franklin Pierce News. Good night.